right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Thank you very much, Mr. Taylor. Good evening, everyone, and welcome inside the Fan Cave. 412-575-2600. That is the number to call. Bob Pompeani here. Chris Mueller is there at 93.7 The Fan. On a big night in Pittsburgh sports, everybody won. The Pirates won, the Penguins won, the Riverhounds won. Chris, I'm going to get right to the Penguin highlights, then we can talk about this game and what it means for the Penguins. The Red Wings lost because the Penguins win. You had Columbus losing. You had the Flyers losing, the Senators losing. Everybody lost except the Penguins. What a night.
Yeah, it's a huge night for them. It's a huge 2 games. I think it's an incredible reflection on Dan Muse as a coach that in their 2 most consequential games of the season, they win by a combined score of 13-4. They get one of those wins on Long Island against a team that traditionally haunts them in that building. And they came out, I thought there was going to be a chance with how much they put it to the Islanders that they came out a little flat for this game, especially with Rust, a do-it-all player, out in surprise fashion. I thought they put their foot on the gas pedal very early. They established a tone. One little hiccup leads to Detroit's goal, and then they just got right back on the horse. Elmer Soderblom, by the way, he did not score a goal. Bob, he looked like Mario Lemieux ragging the puck away from people. He wants Donnie Football to win $750 from Pony by getting 3 more goals on this year and getting himself to 5. They have 4 lines, and they have a system and a belief right now that surmounts any individual player being out with injury. Think of what they've done. No Crosby for a while, no Crosby and Malkin for a stretch of games, no Rust in this game. It's really been a sight to behold the way they've not only held it together, but really taken command in this playoff stretch race.
And Soderblom is a guy who, didn't do all that much in Detroit, which is why he became available. And here he has more goals in 26 fewer games. And he got a fight last night, which I thought really kind of was the final nail in that game, because it looked like Scott Mayfield, he wanted to just do something. Not like a Max Talbot shush moment, but he was trying to ignite his team, trying to ignite his fan base. And instead it was Soderblom who came over, and he just the reach was impossible. He could not beat 6'8".
No, he's 7 feet tall in skates, and he was ragdolling him on the ice. And then tonight, he had one of his former teammates come up to him and just flatten the guy. I mean, I hesitate to get too out over my skis here. I think he's only got 4 points as a member of the Penguins, but if you were doing the whole thing where you didn't just give 3 stars based on stats and you really went by eye test, he was phenomenal. I mean, and you can say that about their whole team. Blake Lizotte goes down. That's been such a good 4th line. And Soderblom has been, I think, the main reason that they really haven't missed a beat on that 4th group.
No question. We see our quote or question of the night. It's KDKA.com/connect, brought to you by Penn West University. And it's about Anthony Mantha, because he signed as a 1-year guy, as did Brazeau. $2.2 million with some incentives. He's going to cash in. This was kind of a prove-it deal. So our question, how many years would you sign Mantha to? And I am assuming he's going to get a $6 million a year. The question is term. Is it 3, 4, 5 years? I don't think the Penguins can do a longer term. We'll get into that when we continue. Want to hear from you at 412-575-2600. We're going to roll some Pirate highlights, a big win in Cincinnati on a 4-home-run night. It's all coming up next right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, KDKA Plus and 93.7 The Fan. All right, welcome back. This is our Xfinity tweet of the night, and these are your 3 stars in this game. Chinakhov, Skinner, and Mantha. All those guys, when you think about it, weren't really part of the team last year. They came in this year, and Chinakhov midway through the season, and they dominated here tonight. All right, Chris, let's get into the Pirate highlights, because they also won tonight, and they took off 4 games worth of offensive frustration in one night at Cincinnati. But Cruz, and this is the reason why patience with him, only because you know what the offensive output can be. I thought it was encouraging tonight. He had 3 hits. He hit lefties. These are things that he has to do better, and so far hadn't seen much until tonight. So, regardless of what happens in the field, if he can hit like this on a consistent basis and, put up 25 to 30 home runs and 40 stolen bases, I think I'll take my chances with him in center field.
Yeah, if he's a 30-30 plus type of guy and his OPS is sniffing around 900, no one's going to talk much about whether or not he can actually play center field. I will say that play with Reynolds, that's one where if you're an experienced center fielder, I think you're just fully in take charge mode and you call off your man in left field. And if he's a smart left fielder, he knows that it's your ball, because anybody that's played baseball knows if the center fielder says they've got it, they take it in pretty much every situation. I thought that was on both guys, actually, though. Cruz was not as decisive as he needed to be, and I didn't think Reynolds, Bob, really stopped there. Like, I thought he kind of ran into the situation as well. But really, it's O'Neal Cruz's bat and, frankly, Brian Reynolds' bat that people care about. And both those guys getting going in this game was a very welcome sign. I will say in Bubba Chandler's case, though, I don't think the Reds are a bad team by any stretch. And he's got really good stuff. You ain't going to get away with 6 walks in 4 1/3 innings and not allow an earned run very often. You can do it occasionally when you're really talented, but he's got to harness the stuff and display better control, or I think he's going to get knocked around more than people want to see this year.
I would agree with that, and that's one of the things that, when he loses it's sort of the wildness factor that gets him in trouble. All right, let's go to our number one Cochran Go On Better call of the night, and you can call us at 412-575-2600. That would be David in Finleyville. Hello, David.
Hi, Bob. Thanks for taking my call. Do you think, Chris and yourself think the Penguins can reach to the Eastern Conference Final? But I'll hang up and listen.
You know, David, I think at this point, I thought they could be a playoff team, and I said so at the beginning. Beyond that, who knows? It's about matchups and everything else. No, I had a good feeling about it. I'll tell you what.
Come on. You're like the only dude in town who did. You should take a victory lap the second they clinch. You should be running around with a traffic cone like you just homered for the Pirates.
Had a long chat with Muse before the season began. Saw him at an event. We were just, and I really came away impressed. And then I started talking to some of his assistants, including Bonino. And it struck me that this guy was a very good developer of people willing to wait on guys. It seemed to me like he was going to have something that they could utilize. I had no idea it'd be this good, no idea that the system would be this good structurally, Chris. But if you've had a chance to talk to him, you get very impressed with what he says about hockey and how he likes his hockey teams to play.
I mean, I respect all the bald guys they have on the bench, first of all. I think that's really important and crucial. Muse is clearly a very good teacher. I think there's evidence across a variety of fronts here, Bob. Guys like Mantha coming in, he's having a career year. Brazeau has tapered off on the scoring a little bit, but he's still been really good. The fourth line believes. I mean, they're rolling 4 lines. Soderblom, we joke about it because we made a bet on the show about it, but he's come over and looked like a completely different hockey player. I mean, Dubas gets Stu Skinner in here and somehow unloads Tristan Jarry's contract in the process. That was like some sort of feat of alchemy, like in the Middle Ages, turning gold into, out of something that didn't even exist. And then the real one to me is, and I don't know about you, Bob, if you agree with this, the story of the year, and it's crystallized in this month mainly, has been Erik Karlsson. To me, he's the runaway team MVP.
Absolutely.
He's the guy that kept this thing afloat when they didn't have Crosby, and then for a stretch didn't have Crosby and Malkin. Mike Sullivan was a really good coach here for a long time, but it will be a mark against the later part of his tenure that he had that player. Not only did he not get much out of him, it seemed like Karlsson was miserable here to the point where people were talking about trading him. You switch coaches, and suddenly he looks like a Norris Trophy player again. He really does. I mean, he's been their best player for huge stretches here down the stretch. He has controlled games. He's had a phenomenal month, and he's really been good all year. I don't want to say like this is just a one-month story. He's been really good all year, and to me, that's all a testament, but especially Karlsson, to Dan Muse.
Yeah, no question about that. He's gotten the best out of him. Plays him a ton of minutes, and it's more efficient minutes, especially defensively. And then let's not forget about Parker Wotherspoon, another guy they brought in. This has been an unbelievable season for Kyle Dubas, who's watched Toronto's general manager get fired yesterday, and here he is, has a team that, let's ask David's question now. He said about going, these matchups, the way they are playing, I think they can be in just about every series they're in. And then it's about goaltending. And I still have my concerns about their goaltending on a regular basis if there's a lot of shots going at them. So, a team like Carolina generates shots over and over again. Eventually, you're going to have to take on. Buffalo got their 100th point for the first time since 2010 tonight. That's a good team that generates a lot of offense. So, styles make the matches.
They can beat, styles make fights for sure, and they can beat whoever would be in a 2-3 matchup with them, which is where it seems like they're going to end up now because of these 2 decisive wins. By the way, like I said earlier, your two most consequential games of the year, you outscore the opposition 13-4, you win both of them. What a reflection on your coach. But I think they can beat anybody that's in that 2-3 game with them, or series with them, excuse me. Carolina's tough. I mean, at that point, it's like, what happens in the first round? Does somebody bounce Carolina? Do the matchups get all frayed? But to answer David's actual question, I do think they can win 2 series in the playoffs. They have a guy who can control the game at the blue line in Carlson. They have aging forwards who still look like they're trying to prove that they're not past their primes, which they're not. They're getting contributions from dudes like Mantha and all over the ice. They're rolling 4 lines. Their coach believes in them. They believe in their coach. If Skinner gets hot, that's the one thing. The goaltending's If Skinner gets hot, though, they can beat any team in the East. I actually believe that.
All right, back to the lines. We have Eric in South Park who joins us right now. Hello, Eric.
Hey, gentlemen, how are you guys?
All right, what's up?
Good.
So, this team really reminds me of the 2016 Penguin Cup run team. They had a lot of young guys like Gensel and Rust back then, whereas they got the Gensel Rust back then, but then they got Ben Kendall and some of the other guys that they've acquired this year. But these guys have really been playing with heart, and these guys really want to win.
Yeah, but that 16 team was special. They just outskated everyone, and I'm not going to getting the goaltending either. I think back then it was better. This team has its own identity.
Matt Murray.
Right. This team has its own identity, Chris, and it's a good one. But it's not, to me, it's not that. That team the Penguins put out there would skate all over you and beat you in any way they could. You know, so. I remember that Game 5 here in the Stanley Cup Final against San Jose. They just, if it wasn't for Martin Jones, they would have won that game 12-1. You know, so
yeah, they overwhelm teams. That's probably between the 3 Cup teams we've seen in this century. I'd probably give them the nod over 09, even though the 09 team was so much younger and had healthier legs. You'd say that 15-16 team was a juggernaut with Sullivan giving them exactly what they needed. But I'll say this, the problem and the difference, the reason you can't say this team is like that one is their best players back then were all hitting about 30. Now they're all hitting about 40. And they still had young guys then, and they do have young guys now. But when your best guys are 39, 38,
correct,
35 in Carlson's case or whatever, it's hard. You have to have you know what you really need, Bob? And this is usually conventional wisdom. You got to have a short series in your playoff run if you've got that many aging players if you want to make a deep push.
Good point. Brian and Carnegie, hang on. We'll get to you when we come back. 412-575-2600. Call us right now. Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Bob Pompeani, Chris Mueller back with you. Let's welcome in Brian and Carnegie. Brian, if you can make it quick, please.
Yep. Hey, guys, real quick. So listen, Bob, Chris, just got to kind of rebut real quick at the beginning of the show. We talked about Cruz and the outfield and the errors and, you know, how I hit the home runs made up for it. I just don't want to get in a situation where down the road we're not talking about that, to where an error like that can't be committed cost us the game. I mean, there's going to be a game or two, hopefully not, where, you know, the home runs won't make up for it. I just think that the errors are just as important.
They are, but like I said, if you're going to ask me, Chris mentioned 30-30. I'll take that if I know he's going to make some misplays out there. It's when he doesn't hit and combined with that defense, it's a problem. Real quick, Chris, before we go, how would you answer that KDKA.com Connect poll here? If you're the Penguins, 3 years would be ideal for him at $6 million a year or whatever it's going to take. 5 is, to me, a no good. I don't want to go 5 years because I got too many young kids coming up, and that's a long time. Plus, he's coming off ACL and shoulder surgery.
If I were Kyle Dubas after this season ends, however it ends, with maybe Anthony Mantha finishing on an insane tear and having like 38 goals, and then however the playoffs would go, I'd say, buddy, Anthony, it was awesome having you here. I'm glad you cashed in every incentive. Let me shake your hand. I have a long-term plan here. You are going to get paid very handsomely by somebody. I think we can call this a mutually beneficial arrangement. Have a wonderful next several years in whatever port of call you go to. I would give him a 0-year contract extension.
Yeah, I tend to agree, but if he's willing to take 3, I think I would engage him in that one. But you're right. The Penguins have done him a big favor. He's done them a big favor. It's a good thing for both sides, and then you move on. All right, Chris, we're out of time. Thanks a lot. We'll see you again tomorrow night. That's going to do it for us. For Chris Mueller, I'm Bob Pompeani. Thanks for joining us, and we always look forward to your conversations right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Have a good night.